The meeting room of the Galactic Council was bigger than any stadium on Earth. Jake Morrison walked through the huge doors, his footsteps echoing in the vast space. He had been Earth's ambassador for 5 years now, and every day had been harder than the last. The other species in the galaxy looked at humans like they were children who had somehow learned to fly spaceships. Jake took his seat at the very back of the room. Earth's chair was small and made of cheap metal, while the important species sat in grand thrones near the center. The Kralin ambassador sat in the biggest chair of all, his forearms resting on armrests made of pure gold. The Kralin people had conquered half the galaxy before humans even learned how to make fire. Today was different, though. Jake had a message to deliver, and he was not going to sit in the back anymore. He stood up and started walking toward the center podium. The other ambassadors turned to look at him. Some laughed. The Vorlak ambassador, whose body looked like it was made of living crystal, made a sound like wind chimes. That was how his species showed amusement. "The human wants to speak," said the Zephrani ambassador. Her tentacles moved in a pattern that meant she found this funny. "Did you forget that junior species must request permission 3 days in advance?" Jake kept walking. He had followed their rules for 30 years. Humanity had followed their rules for 30 years. They had accepted trade deals that barely gave them enough food for their colonies. They had agreed to technology restrictions that kept Earth from building better ships. They had smiled when other species called them clever monkeys and pretended it was a compliment. Commander Lisa Park watched from the military viewing deck above. She was not supposed to be here, but Jake had asked her to come. She commanded Earth's real fleet, the one the Council did not know about. For 10 years, humans had been building warships in secret, hidden behind Neptune where alien sensors could not reach. Every insult from the Council had made humans work harder. Every unfair rule had made them more determined. Jake reached the podium. The Kralin Supreme Admiral stood up. He was 12 feet tall, covered in scales that could stop bullets. His Zastyan species had never lost a war. They had been fighting wars for 4,000 years, and they always won. "Human, return to your seat," the Admiral said. His voice sounded like thunder. "You forget your place in the natural order." "No," Jake said simply. "I remember it perfectly. You put us at the bottom. You gave us the worst trade deals. You banned us from having weapons that could defend our colonies. You took our resources and gave us scraps in return. You did all of this because you thought we were weak." The council room became quiet. No one had ever heard a human speak like this before. Humans were always polite. They always said please and thank you. They helped other species with their problems and never complained when they got nothing in return. "For 30 years, Jake continued, we have been nice. We helped the Vorlak when their son was dying. We gave medicine to the Zephrani when disease struck their worlds. We shared our music and art with everyone. And what did we get? You called us pets. You said we were lucky to be allowed in space at all." The Quellax ambassador, an old being who looked like a tree made of light, leaned forward. "Young human, these complaints have been heard before. The Council has decided. Humans are a junior species. In perhaps another 1,000 years you might earn better status." Jake smiled. It was not a happy smile. Lisa had seen that smile before when Jake talked about Earth's history. Humans had that smile when they were done being patient. 3 hours ago, Jake said, every human ship, station, and colony received new orders. We call it the Aberdeen Protocol. We are withdrawing from the Treaty of Submission. Gasps filled the room. The Zephrani ambassador's tentacles turned purple with shock. Even the Kralin admiral looked surprised. The Treaty of Submission was what the Council called the Integration Accord in public, but everyone knew its real name. It was the document that made humans accept their low position in exchange for protection. "You cannot withdraw," the admiral said. "The treaty is eternal. Breaking it means war with all Council species." "We know," Jake said. "We are counting on it." Lisa touched her earpiece. The message from Earth had just arrived. All human ships were in position. The colonies had activated their defenses. The secret fleet was ready. "This is madness," the Vorlak ambassador chimed. Humans have 40 ships, at most. Old cargo vessels and mining ships. The Kralin alone have 200 warships. You will be destroyed in days. Jake walked away from the podium. You think we have 40 ships because that is what we showed you. You think we are weak because we chose to be kind. You think we will lose because we have always been nice. You are about to learn how wrong you are. The Admiral slammed two of his fists on his chair. Then it is war. The human planets will burn. Your species will learn what happens when lesser beings challenge their betters. One more thing, Jake said, stopping at the door. You might want to check on your fleet near Earth. The one you sent to intimidate us last month. The one that is supposed to keep us in line. The Admiral pressed a button on his chair. Nothing happened. He pressed it again. The screen that should show his fleet remained black. What have you done? He roared. We stopped being nice, Jake said. The war you wanted started 3 hours ago. You just did not know it yet. Lisa smiled from the viewing deck. The Kralin fleet near Earth was already gone. 47 human warships had appeared from behind Neptune and destroyed them in 12 minutes. The galaxy thought humans were weak because they were kind. They thought humans were primitive because they chose diplomacy over violence. They had forgotten that humans were the only species to split the atom before leaving their planet. They were the only species to have world wars and survive them. The council chamber erupted in chaos. Ambassadors shouted in 20 different languages. Some ran for the exits, others called their homeworlds. The Kralin Admiral roared orders that no one could hear over the noise. Jake walked out calmly. In the hallway, he met Lisa. She had taken the service elevator down. How did it go? She asked. About as expected. They are scared now. Good. Do you think they understand yet? Lisa asked as they walked toward their shuttle. No, Jake said. They think this is about power. They think we want to rule them like they ruled us. They cannot imagine that we just want respect. They cannot understand that we were nice because we chose to be, not because we had to be. They reached the shuttle. Through the windows, they could see alien ships launching from the station. The news was spreading. Humanity had declared war on the entire Galactic Council. It was supposed to be impossible. A single young species against dozens of older ones should have no chance. But humans had been preparing for 30 years. Every smile had hidden planning. Every polite word had bought time to build another ship. Every unfair trade deal had taught them more about alien weaknesses. Where to now? The shuttle pilot asked. Earth, Jake said. The real negotiation starts after we win, and we will win. They made one mistake that will cost them everything. What mistake? Lisa asked. They thought being nice meant being weak. They are about to learn that humans are at their most dangerous when they stop being nice. The war has started, and it will end only when the galaxy learns to treat us as equals. The shuttle lifted off. Behind them, the Galactic Council station fell into chaos. The age of human patience was over. The age of human strength had begun. Admiral Sam Cooper stood on the bridge of the ESV Retribution. The warship was one of humanity's best-kept secrets. For 10 years, it had been built in the darkness behind Neptune, where no alien sensors could find it. The ship was not pretty, like the elegant Vorlak cruisers or massive like the Kralin dreadnoughts. It was built for one purpose. War. Admiral, all ships report ready. Captain Amy Chen said from her station. She had been training for this day for 15 years. The Council's enforcement fleet is approaching Earth. Sam nodded. He was 70 years old, one of the few humans who remembered when Earth first met the aliens. He remembered the hope in people's eyes, thinking they would be welcomed as equals among the stars. He remembered when that hope died. How many ships? Sam asked. 200 Kralin warships, 50 Vorlak cruisers, and 30 Zafrani destroyers, Amy replied. They think this will be easy. Chief Engineer Tony Rodriguez laughed from his console. They still believe we only have mining ships and cargo. Haulers. They are in for a surprise. Sam looked at the tactical display. 47 human warships waited in the shadow of the moon. The aliens could not see them yet. Human scientists had spent 20 years developing stealth technology that made their ships invisible to alien sensors. The Council races had never needed stealth. They were used to winning through strength, not strategy. "Admiral, incoming message from the Kraylan Fleet Commander," the communications officer announced. "Put it on screen," Sam ordered. The image of Supreme Commander Theric filled the view screen. He was even bigger than most Kraylan, with scars covering his scales from 100 battles. He had never lost a fight. "Humans of Earth," Theric said, his voice full of confidence. "Your ambassador has made a terrible mistake. Surrender now, and we will only destroy your military bases. Fight, and we will turn your cities to glass. You have 1 hour to decide." Sam pressed the communication button. "Commander Theric, this is Admiral Sam Cooper of the Earth Star Navy. We have made our decision. We decided 30 years ago, when you forced us to sign your treaty. We decided 20 years ago when you blocked our colony ships. We decided 10 years ago when you let pirates attack our trade vessels and did nothing." Theric laughed. It sounded like rocks grinding together. "You speak bravely for someone commanding 40 obsolete ships. I have 200 of the finest warships in the galaxy." "You have 200 targets," Sam replied. He turned to Amy. "Captain Chen, please show the commander what humans have been doing while pretending to be nice." Amy pressed a button. The stealth fields around all 47 human warships dropped at once. They appeared on every alien sensor like ghosts becoming solid, but that was not the biggest surprise. "Admiral, they are hailing us again," the communications officer said. "Multiple ships. They sound confused." Sam smiled. "They just realized. Our ships are not cargo haulers. Show them what a gravity bomb can do." Tony activated the weapon system. Gravity bombs were something no other species had thought to create. Why would they? They had plasma weapons and antimatter torpedoes. But humans had studied black holes while the rest of the galaxy ignored them. They had learned to create tiny ones that lasted just long enough to tear through anything. The first gravity bomb launched toward the Kraylan fleet. It was small, no bigger than a baseball. The aliens did not even try to stop it. Their shields were designed for energy weapons and missiles, not distorted space itself. The bomb reached the leading Kraylan battleship and activated. For 1 second, it created gravity equal to a black hole. The battleship, a vessel that had conquered 20 systems, crumpled like paper. Its shields meant nothing. Its armor meant nothing. The ship became a ball of twisted metal in seconds. The alien fleet stopped moving. 280 ships that had been advancing with total confidence now sat still in space. "Sir, we are receiving hundreds of messages," the communications officer said. "They are asking what that weapon was. They want to know how we did that." "Tell them nothing," Sam said. "Mr. Rodriguez, are the shield crackers ready?" "Yes, Admiral. We have been listening to their shield frequencies for 21 years. Every time they visited Earth to check on us, we scanned them. We know exactly how to break through." Sam remembered his grandfather telling him about World War II, about how America had pretended to be neutral while secretly preparing for war. Humans had done the same thing with the galaxy. They smiled and traded and pretended to be harmless while building weapons in the dark. "All ships, this is Admiral Cooper. Begin Operation Revelation. Show them what humans can really do." 47 human warships moved as one. They had trained for this moment thousands of times. Every captain knew their role. Every gunner knew their target. This was not a battle. It was a demonstration. The ESV Vengeance fired its improved mining lasers at 3 Vorlak cruisers. The Council had sold those lasers to humans for asteroid mining, never suspecting that humans would make them 10 times more powerful. The lasers cut through the Vorlak shields like they were not there. The beautiful crystal ships shattered into 1,000,000 pieces. The ESV Liberty launched a swarm of missiles at the Zafrani destroyers. Each missile was small and fast, using human computer systems that were considered primitive by galactic standards. But primitive did not mean ineffective. The missiles dodged every countermeasure and hit their targets perfectly. Zafrani ships began exploding across the battlefield. "Admiral, the Kraylan are charging their main guns," Amy reported. "They are targeting Earth cities." Not anymore, Sam said. Fire the EMP bombs. Electromagnetic pulse weapons were ancient technology by human standards. Earth had developed them over 100 years ago, but the galaxy had never seen them used in space. They relied on their shields to stop everything. They never imagined someone would find a way around them. 20 EMP bombs detonated among the Krellon fleet. Their shields flickered and died. Their weapons went dark. Their engines stopped. The mighty Krellon warships, fear of the galaxy, floated helpless in space. Now they understand, Sam said quietly. Captain Chen, target their command ship. The Retribution's main gun was unlike anything the galaxy had seen. It did not shoot plasma or antimatter. It shot a beam of pure kinetic energy, using magnetic fields to accelerate projectiles to near light speed. The galaxy had abandoned kinetic weapons thousands of years ago. Humans had perfected them. The projectile hit Therek's command ship at 1/3 the speed of light. The ship did not explode. It simply ceased to exist, turned to atoms by the impact. The Supreme Commander, who had never lost a battle, died without firing a single shot. Panic spread through the alien fleet. Some ships tried to retreat. Others fired wildly at the human vessels. But without shields, without coordination, they were helpless. The humans picked them apart methodically, efficiently, coldly. Admiral, the Vorlek are requesting surrender, the communications officer said. The Zafrani too. The remaining Krellon ships are fleeing. Let them go, Sam ordered. We have made our point. Amy looked at the tactical display. In 17 minutes, humanity had destroyed or disabled over 100 alien warships. Earth had not lost a single vessel. They never stood a chance, did they? Amy asked. No, Sam admitted. We studied them for 30 years. We know their weapons, their shields, their tactics. They know nothing about us except what we wanted them to know. They thought kindness was weakness. They thought our diplomacy was fear. They never asked the right question. What question? Tony asked from his engineering station. Why a species that had nuclear weapons before spaceflight would suddenly become pacifists? Why a race that survived ice ages and plagues would accept servitude? Why humans, who fought each other for thousands of years, would not fight aliens who treated them as inferiors? Dr. Carl Peterson entered the bridge. He was Earth's lead xenobiologist and had studied every council species for decades. The other fleets are withdrawing from human colonies. The news of this battle has reached every corner of the galaxy. They are afraid. Good, Sam said. Fear will make them listen. Fear will make them think, and when they stop being afraid, they will realize the truth. What truth? Carl asked. That we did not want this war. We wanted equality. We wanted respect. We wanted to share the galaxy as partners. But they forced us to prove we deserved it. So we stopped being nice and we showed them what humans really are. Sam looked at Earth through the view screen. The blue planet looked peaceful, but it had given birth to the most dangerous species in the galaxy. Not because humans were the strongest or the smartest, but because they could be both kind and cruel, peaceful and warlike, patient and decisive. Send a message to all council species, Sam ordered. Tell them humanity is ready to discuss new terms. Tell them the war can end as quickly as it started. All they have to do is treat us as equals. And if they refuse? Amy asked. Sam turned to look at her. His expression was calm, but his eyes were hard as stone. Then we show them the other weapons we have been building, the ones that make gravity bombs look like firecrackers. They think today was humanity at war. They are wrong. Today was humanity giving a warning. The real war would be something the galaxy has never seen. The bridge was quiet for a moment. Everyone understood. Humanity had been nice for 30 years while preparing for war, if the galaxy wanted to. Colonel Beth Andrews watched from the Lunar Command Center as the remains of the alien fleet drifted past Earth. The battle had been over for 3 hours, but the galaxy was still trying to understand what had happened. The mighty Krellon fleet, terror of 100 worlds, had been destroyed in 17 minutes by a species everyone called primitive. Colonel, we are getting reports from all sectors, Lieutenant Danny Kim said, reading from his screen. The Vorlak are calling emergency sessions. The Zafrani have recalled every ship to defend their homeworld. Even the Quellax are worried, and they have not fought a war in 2,000 years. Beth nodded. Everything was going according to plan. Humanity had not just won a battle. They had shattered the galaxy's understanding of power. For thousands of years, the strong had ruled the weak. Now the weak had proven they were never weak, at all. What about our colonies? Beth asked. All secure. The alien oversight forces fled the moment they heard about Earth. Our people are taking control of their own worlds for the first time in 30 years. Dr. Carl Peterson entered the command center. His face showed exhaustion, but also satisfaction. The quantum communication array is overloaded. Every species in the council wants to talk to us. They want to understand how we did this. Let them wonder, Beth said. Mystery is more powerful than knowledge sometimes. She turned to the main display showing Earth. The planet looked the same as always, blue and green and peaceful. But around it, the debris of alien warships floated like a metal cloud. It was a message to the galaxy. This is what happens when you push humans too far. Colonel, priority message from Mars, Danny announced. General Paul White says Phase 2 is ready. Beth smiled. The space battle had been dramatic, but Phase 2 would be the real blow to the Council's power. It would not involve weapons or ships. It would be much worse for them. Tell the General to proceed, Beth ordered. On Mars, General Paul White stood in the communication center of Olympus Base. Around him, 50 operators sat at consoles, each one connected to human personnel throughout the galaxy. For 30 years, humans had spread across space as workers, traders, scientists, and engineers. The Council species had welcomed them because humans were useful. They were about to learn just how useful. This is General White to all human personnel in Council space. Execute withdrawal protocol. Repeat. Execute withdrawal protocol. Across the galaxy, humans began leaving their posts. On the Vorlak medical station in the Proxima system, Dr. Helen Foster powered down the emergency room she had run for 10 years. The Vorlak could not operate the equipment without her. Their crystalline bodies could not manipulate the controls designed for human hands. On the Zafrani agricultural world of Kepler 442b, farming supervisor Eddie Martinez shut down the irrigation systems he had maintained for 5 years. The Zafrani had never learned how the systems worked. They had assumed humans would always be there to run them. On the Kralin shipyard at Wolf 359, Chief Engineer Nancy Brown deleted all the repair protocols from the main computer and walked away from her post. The Kralin knew how to build ships, but they had let humans handle the complicated maintenance work. Now they would learn what happened when the servants left. General, reports coming in from all sectors, his aide reported. 3,000 human medical professionals have left their posts. 5,000 engineers have abandoned alien facilities. 8,000 agricultural advisors have departed colony worlds. Every human in Council space is coming home. Paul nodded. This was not an attack. It was something worse. It was showing the galaxy how much they had come to depend on the species they had treated as inferiors. Back on the lunar base, Beth received a message that made her laugh. The Vorlak are reporting 17 medical emergencies they cannot handle, without human doctors. The Zafrani say 3 of their colonies will starve within a month without human agricultural support. The Krylon have 200 ships that need repairs only human engineers know how to perform. They wanted us to be servants, Carl said. They never realized that servants who do all the work have all the real power. A new message arrived, this one from the Council itself. Beth put it on the main screen. The image showed the new Council, Speaker, an ancient Quellax whose body looked like a tree made of starlight. The old speaker had fled when the Kralon fleet was destroyed. Humans of Earth, the Quellax said, its voice sounding like wind through leaves. The Council acknowledges your military capability. We are prepared to discuss new terms. Beth activated the communication system. This is Colonel Beth Andrews of Earth Command. We are not interested in discussions yet. You have not learned the lesson. What lesson? The Quellax asked. You have proven your strength. Your weapons are superior. Your strategy was excellent. What more is there to learn? You still think this is about strength, Beth replied. You still believe might makes right. Let me show you something. She pressed a button. On every council world, every screen showed the same image. A human child on Earth playing with an alien toy that had been a gift from the Zephrani before the restrictions began. The child was laughing, happy, innocent. This child, Beth said, represents what humanity wanted. We wanted our children to grow up in a galaxy of friends, not masters. We wanted them to explore the stars as equals, not servants. We wanted peace, not submission. The screen changed. Now it showed human workers on council worlds, working twice as hard as any other species for half the pay. It showed human colonies, restricted to barren worlds while fertile planets sat empty, because the council declared them off limits to junior species. It showed human ships being turned away from trade ports, because their cargo was deemed inappropriate for primitive species to transport. For 30 years you made us into second-class citizens. You took our kindness as weakness. You saw our patience as stupidity. You mistook our desire for peace as inability to wage war. The screen changed again. Now it showed the secret shipyards. Behind Neptune, the weapons laboratories on Titan, the training facilities on Mars where humans had prepared for this day. Every insult made us stronger. Every restriction taught us to be self-sufficient. Every humiliation fueled our determination. You created the very weapon that would destroy your power. Humans who had nothing left to lose and everything to prove. The Quillax was silent for a moment. Then it spoke again, more quietly. What do you want? Equality, Beth said simply. Real equality, not token membership in your council, not junior status with promises of improvement in 1,000 years. Equal rights, equal trade, equal respect. Today, the other species will never accept this. The Krellon especially. They have ruled through strength for millennia. Beth smiled, coldly. The Krellon no longer have a fleet. Their economy is collapsing without human workers. 3 of their colony worlds have already declared independence because no Krellon ships can reach them. They will accept our terms, or they will become a footnote in history. She turned to Carl. Show them the Alexandria file. Carl pressed his console. On every council world, classified documents began appearing on public networks. Documents that showed how council species had deliberately kept humans weak. Plans to prevent human technological advancement. Secret agreements to limit human colony rights. Recordings of council members laughing about the clever monkeys who did their dirty work. Your own people are seeing these files now, Beth said to the Quillax. They are learning how you have lied to them about humans. They are discovering that we tried for 30 years to join you as friends, and you responded with contempt. The Command Center received dozens of messages at once. Danny read them quickly. Colonel, riots on 3 Vorlak worlds. Their people are demanding to know why their government treated humans so badly. The Zephrani lower classes are refusing to work until human advisors return. Even some Krellon colonies are requesting human assistance. Beth looked back at the Quillax. You see? This was never about military might. It was about truth. Your people are learning that humans are not their enemies. We never were. You made us into enemies because you could not imagine a galaxy where the strong did not dominate the weak. What happens now? The Quillax asked. Now you have a choice, Beth said. Accept us as equals and we will help rebuild what has been broken. We will return our doctors, our engineers, our farmers. We will share our technology, our knowledge, our friendship. Or refuse and watch your civilization collapse without the species you thought you could live without. The communication ended. Beth turned to her staff. How long before they accept? Carl checked his calculations. Based on their resource consumption and the loss of human support, the Vorlak will last maybe 2 weeks. The Zephrani have perhaps a month. The Krellon are already in crisis. I estimate full acceptance of our terms within 10 days. Beth nodded and looked back at Earth. The tide had turned completely. The species that had been treated as servants had become the masters of the galaxy's fate, not through conquest, but through the simple act of walking away. The council had built their civilization on human labor without realizing it. Now they would learn to value what they had taken for granted. "Send word to all human forces," Beth ordered. "Maintain defensive positions but take no aggressive action. We have made our point. Now we wait for them to understand it." Senator Michelle Davis walked through the ruins of the old Galactic Council chamber. 3 months had passed since humanity had declared independence and won their freedom in 17 minutes of devastating warfare. The grand building was not destroyed by human weapons. In their panic to escape, the council members had accidentally triggered their own self-destruct systems. It was almost funny, Michelle thought, how fear could make even advanced species act foolishly. Now, representatives from 17 species waited in a temporary meeting hall next door. They had come to Earth, to humanity's territory, to negotiate. The simple fact that they had come here instead of demanding humans come to them showed how much had changed. Michelle entered the hall with Danny Kim, Earth's military attaché, and Dr. Rachel Green, the xenopsychologist who had studied alien behavior for 20 years. The alien representative stood as she entered. 3 months ago, they would not have stood for any human. Now they showed respect. The Zephrani ambassador rippled her communication membrane in greeting. She was new. The old ambassador had been removed from office in disgrace after her people learned how badly she had treated humans. "Senator Davis, we are ready to discuss terms." Michelle took her seat at the head of the table. Another change. Humans no longer sat in the back. "Before we begin," Michelle said, "I want to make something clear. We did not want this conflict. For 30 years we asked for nothing more than equality. You gave us servitude. We asked for fair trade. You gave us scraps. We asked for respect. You gave us mockery." The new Kralin representative, a younger warrior named Korvac, shifted uncomfortably. His people had suffered the most from humanity's withdrawal. Without their fleet and without human workers, their empire was crumbling. 12 of their colony worlds had declared independence. Their economy was in ruins. "We acknowledge our errors," Korvac said. It must have been hard for him to say those words. The Kralin never admitted mistakes. "We underestimated humanity. We will not make that error again." Michelle studied him. "You still do not understand. You think we won because we had better weapons. You think we won because we were secretly stronger than you. You are still thinking in terms of power." She gestured to Rachel, who activated a holographic display. It showed images from the past 3 months. Vorlak hospitals failing without human doctors. Zephrani colonies starving without human agricultural advisors. Kralon ships drifting, helpless in space without human engineers to repair them. "We won because you made yourselves dependent on us while treating us as inferiors," Michelle explained. "You valued our labor but not our persons. You wanted our skills but not our partnership. You created a situation where you could not survive without the very species you oppressed." The Vorlak representative, whose crystalline form caught the light in beautiful patterns, chimed softly. "What you say is true. Our medical systems have collapsed without human assistance. 17,000 of our people have died from treatable conditions because we never learned to operate the equipment ourselves. We were fools." Michelle felt no satisfaction hearing this. Those 17,000 deaths were unnecessary. If the council had simply treated humans fairly, none of this would have happened. "Our terms are simple," Michelle said. "Complete equality for all species. No more junior members. No more restricted technologies. No more limited trade routes. Every species will have equal vote in the new alliance. Every species will share their knowledge freely. Every species will respect every other species. The old ways have governed the galaxy for 10,000 years, the Quellax representative said. Its tree-like form swayed gently. The strong have always ruled the weak. It is the natural order. Danny Kim leaned forward. The natural order? Let me tell you about Earth's natural order. We had predators that could destroy us, so we made tools. We had diseases that could kill us, so we made medicine. We had enemies that could conquer us, so we made allies. Humans have never accepted that the strong must rule. We have always believed that the smart survive, and the smartest know that cooperation is better than domination. Michelle continued. Your natural order created a galaxy of fear and resentment. How many species have you conquered that hate you in silence? How many worlds follow your rules only because they have no choice? We are offering a different way. And if we refuse? Asked the representative from the Altarian Collective, a species that had remained neutral during the conflict. Captain Scott Bailey entered the room. He commanded the ESV Vengeance, which was currently in orbit directly above the meeting hall. Then humanity continues the war, but understand what that means. We have been nice for 30 years while studying all of you. We know the Vorlak's crystal structure shatters at specific sound frequencies. We know the Zephrani need 3 rare elements to survive, elements found on only 4 planets. We know the Kralon scales, which they believe are impenetrable, dissolve in citric acid. The room fell silent. The implications were clear. Humanity had not just built weapons. They had built specific weapons designed to destroy each species in the most effective way possible. We know your biology, your psychology, your history, your weaknesses, Scott continued. We know which of your colonies would rebel if given the chance. We know which of your trade routes are essential for survival. We know everything about you, while you know almost nothing about us. Rachel Green added, we also know your strengths. The Vorlak's precision in mathematics, the Zephrani's artistic vision, the Krellon's courage in exploration, the Quellax's wisdom in philosophy. Imagine what we could accomplish together as equals, combining our strengths instead of ranking them. Michelle stood and walked to the window. Outside, she could see Earth's blue skies and green fields. But she could also see the orbital defense, platforms humanity had built, weapons that could destroy any fleet that threatened their world. You have a choice, she said, turning back to the representatives. We can be your greatest allies or your worst enemies. We can help you build a golden age of cooperation and advancement, or we can show you what total war really means. Humans have fought wars that killed millions of our own people. We have weapons that can destroy entire worlds. We have chosen not to use them. Do not make us reconsider that choice. The Zephrani ambassador rippled in what Michelle had learned, was anxiety. You speak of cooperation, but you threaten us with destruction. Is this not the same might makes right philosophy you claim to oppose? Michelle smiled sadly. No. Might makes right says the strong should rule because they are strong. We are saying everyone should be equal regardless of strength. We are using our might to end the rule of might. Once equality is established, the weapons can be put away. And you would trust us? Korvac asked. After we treated you so badly? Trust is earned, Michelle said. You will earn ours and we will earn yours. But the process starts with equality. No species above another. No species below another. All of us working together. Danny Kim pulled up another display. This one showed human colonies over the past 3 months. They were thriving without council oversight. Trade was booming between human worlds. Technology was advancing rapidly without restrictions. This is what freedom looks like, Danny said. Your people could have the same. No more tribute to stronger species. No more restricted technologies. No more limited expansion. Freedom to grow, to explore, to become whatever you choose to be. The Quellax representative stood slowly. I have lived for 3,000 years. I have seen empires rise and fall. I have watched species conquer and be conquered. Never have I seen what humanity offers. Victory without vengeance, strength without supremacy. You could destroy us all, yet you offer partnership. Why? Michelle walked back to the table. Because humans have learned something from our history. Every empire built on oppression eventually falls. Every system based on inequality eventually collapses. We are offering something that can last forever. A galaxy where every species is valued, where every voice is heard, where every people can reach their full potential. She placed a document on the table. This is the Charter of Galactic Equality. It replaces the old council structure with an alliance where every species has equal representation. It guarantees free trade, free movement, and free exchange of knowledge. It establishes collective defense, so no species can conquer another. It creates a future based on cooperation, not domination. The representatives looked at the document, some with hope, others with fear, all with uncertainty. You have 1 week to decide, Michelle said. Sign the charter and join us as equals. Refuse and humanity will protect itself and any species that joins us. The galaxy will divide into those who choose equality and those who cling to the old ways. Choose wisely. As the representatives filed out to consult with their governments, Rachel turned to Michelle. Do you think they will sign? Michelle watched them go. They will. They have no choice. Their people have seen what equality looks like. They have seen humans as partners instead of servants. They cannot go back to the old ways. The new reality has already begun. We just have to wait for them to accept it. Outside, the ESV Vengeance floated in orbit, a reminder that humanity's offer of peace came from a position of strength. The galaxy would have equality, either by choice or by necessity. The new reality would not. 1 year had passed since humanity said enough and stopped being nice. Ambassador Jake Morrison stood at the same podium where he had announced humanity's withdrawal from the Treaty of Submission. But everything else had changed. The hierarchical seating that had placed humans at the back was gone. Now every species sat in a circle, each seat the same size, each position equal to every other. The chamber itself had been rebuilt on Earth in the city of Geneva. The old council station had been abandoned, a monument to the failed philosophy of might makes right. The new Galactic Alliance had its headquarters on the world that had fought for equality and won. Jake looked around the room. The Vorlak ambassador sat next to the human delegate from Mars. The Kraylan representative worked beside the Zafrani scientist. A year ago, such arrangements would have been impossible. The strong would never sit beside the weak as equals. Now, there were no strong or weak. There were only partners. Professor Nancy Brown stood before the assembled representatives to present her report. She led the new collaborative research initiative, where scientists from every species worked together. The results had exceeded everyone's expectations. In 1 year of true cooperation, Nancy began, we have achieved more than the old council achieved in a century. The Vorlak's precision manufacturing, combined with human creativity and Zafrani artistic vision, has produced medical devices that can heal injuries we thought were permanent. Kraylan exploration courage, guided by Quellac's wisdom and human adaptability, has opened 17 new star systems for colonization. She activated a holographic display showing a space station unlike anything built before. It was both functional and beautiful, practical and inspiring. This is Research Station, Unity. Built with technologies from all Alliance species, it represents what we can accomplish together. No single species could have built this. Together, we built it in 6 months. Captain Eddie Martinez commanded the station. He had returned to space after helping establish Earth's new agricultural programs. The station has researchers from every member species, he reported via video link. We have had to solve problems no one imagined. How do you create a workspace for beings who breathe methane and beings who need oxygen? How do you accommodate species that see in infrared and species that see in ultraviolet? Every challenge we solve brings us closer together. The new Kraylan representative, Korvac, stood to speak. His people had changed the most in the past year. Without their military dominance, they had been forced to find new ways to contribute. They had discovered they were excellent explorers and pioneers when they were not focused on conquest. My people wish to thank humanity, Korvac said. The words would have been impossible for a Kraylan to say a year ago. You defeated us in 17 minutes. You could have destroyed us completely. Instead, you offered us a place in your alliance. We have learned that there is more honor in exploration than conquest, more glory in discovery than domination. The Ain. Zafrani ambassador rippled her agreement. My species also owes humanity a debt. We participated in your oppression. We mocked you as primitive. When you withdrew your agricultural advisors, 3 of our colonies nearly starved. You could have let them starve. Instead, the moment we signed the charter, human ships arrived with food and teachers. You taught us to feed ourselves instead of keeping us dependent. Dr. Helen Foster, now serving as Earth's medical liaison, presented her report next. The BOE, new medical exchange program, has saved 2 million lives across the Alliance. Diseases that were fatal to one species are easily cured by another's medicine. The Vorlak discovered that human antibiotics can cure their crystalline plague. We learned that Quellac sap can regenerate human nerve damage. By sharing instead of hoarding knowledge, we have all become stronger. An old Quellax philosopher stood slowly. At 3,000 years old, it was the oldest being in the room. I have watched the galaxy for millennia. I saw the first Kralin conquests. I witnessed the Vorlak expansion. I observed humanity's arrival and subjugation. In all that time, I believed the natural order was for the strong to rule the weak. Humanity has shown me I was wrong. The being's tree-like form swayed as it continued. Humans proved that the natural order is not domination but cooperation, not conquest but partnership. They stopped being nice not to become cruel, but to force us to see them as equals. The war that started instantly when they said enough ended just as quickly when we finally understood their message. Jake Morrison finally spoke. 1 year ago, I stood at a podium much like this one and announced humanity's withdrawal from an unjust system. Today I stand here not as humanity's representative to alien overlords, but as one voice among many equals. The transformation is complete. He paused, looking at each representative. But let us not forget how we got here. For 30 years, humanity endured mockery, restrictions, and servitude. We smiled through the humiliation. We helped despite the oppression. We were nice even when niceness brought us nothing but contempt. We did this because we hoped, we truly hoped, that eventually you would see us as equals. When that hope died, Jake continued, we revealed what we had been building in secret. Not just weapons, though we had those. Not just ships, though we had those too. We had been building knowledge, learning your weaknesses, yes, but also your strengths. Understanding your fears, but also your dreams. We knew that someday we would have to prove ourselves. We just hoped it would be through partnership, not war. A young human girl entered the chamber carrying a small box. She was Jake's daughter, born on the day humanity declared independence. She walked confidently among beings that would have terrified humans a year ago, seeing them not as superior or inferior, but simply as different. She handed the box to her father and returned to her seat. Jake opened it and pulled out a small plant, one that existed on Earth long before humans reached the stars. This is an olive tree sapling, Jake explained. On Earth, it is a symbol of peace. It takes years to grow, decades to mature, centuries to reach its full size. Like peace itself, it requires patience, care, and time. I propose we plant this tree here at Alliance headquarters as a reminder. A reminder of what? Asked the Vorlak ambassador. That peace is not the absence of the ability to wage war, Jake said. It is the choice not to wage it. Humanity could have conquered the galaxy. We had the weapons, the knowledge, the anger to do it. Instead, we chose peace. But we also showed that our choice of peace should never be mistaken for weakness. The vote to plant the tree was unanimous. As representatives filed out to attend the ceremony, many stopped to speak with human delegates. Not as superiors to inferiors, not as masters to servants, but as equals to equals. Captain Amy Chen watched from the observation deck as the tree was planted in the courtyard below. She had commanded warships that could destroy worlds. Now she commanded the Alliance, defense fleet protecting all species equally. Next to her stood former enemies who were now her trusted officers. Do you think it will last? Asked her Kralin tactical officer. Amy thought about human history, the wars they had fought, the peace they had built, the cycles of conflict and cooperation that had defined their species. Nothing lasts forever, she said. Someday new challenges will arise. New species will join the Alliance. Some may resist equality as you once did, but humanity will be ready. We will be nice, helpful, patient, and kind. But everyone will know that we can stop being nice whenever necessary. Down in the courtyard, The olive tree was planted. It was small now, fragile-looking among the massive buildings and powerful beings surrounding it. But it would grow. Year by year, decade by decade, it would become stronger, its roots deeper, its branches wider, just like the Alliance itself. What had started with humanity saying enough had become something unprecedented in galactic history, not an empire built on conquest, but an alliance built on equality. Not peace through domination, but peace through mutual respect. As the sun set over Geneva, casting long shadows across the new Galactic Alliance headquarters, the olive tree stood as a testament to humanity's greatest victory. They had not conquered the galaxy. They had transformed it. They had proved that being nice was not weakness, but a choice made from strength. And when they stopped being nice just long enough to demand respect, they had changed the course of galactic civilization forever. The war that had started instantly when humans said enough had lasted only months, but its lessons would last for millennia. In schools across the Alliance, young beings of all species would learn the story, how humans endured 30 years of oppression with patience, how they prepared in secret while maintaining their kind. Nature, how they struck with devastating precision when pushed too far, and how they chose reconciliation over revenge when they had won. Most importantly, they would learn that humans remained nice, helpful, cooperative neighbors in the vast cosmos. But now every species knew that humanity's niceness was a gift, not an obligation, a choice, not a weakness. And should anyone mistake that kindness for frailty again, humans would once more say, enough, and remind the galaxy why Earth's children had survived every challenge their world had thrown at them and emerged among the stars. The dawn of change had come. The galaxy would never be the same. And